Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you all. What's up,
for
everybody?
watching the video.
Thank you all.
I need to
What's
turn
up,
on
everybody?
watching the video.
Thank you all.
Oh, I hear myself. Oh, I hear myself. Oh no. Oh, I hear myself. Oh no.
Oh, I found it. Sorry.
It's fixed.
What's up, Dashy? How are you, dude? Guys, we're gonna do. We've done this for the last couple early access videos. We're gonna do a quick live stream. We're gonna chat just a little bit about Cities 2. If you have any questions, throw them into chat. We'll figure out. I don't even know what this button does, but I'm kind of curious. What? Say something. Q&A. I don't know. If you have any questions about the video, if you're able to watch it, we can talk about it. I can also go through the video a little bit and talk about some stuff. So there's plenty we can do. Thank you. It's interesting. I'm glad you liked it. Cuboid, you were almost first. Welcome in, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you've watched it, thank you for watching the premiere. If you haven't watched it, go check it out, please. It is a longer video for sure. It's pretty dense. We cover a lot, but it's a lot of the stuff that is going to happen in your Cities 2 build a little bit further along than the first two videos, and we spent about 55 minutes diving into it. So I'm working while eating. I love you all. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate it, dude. I can't play the game on stream, so it's very much just a little bit reactionary that we could talk about the game, what you've seen thus far. The interesting thing is that I think that it was kind of cool that through that video I basically am redoing aspects of the city that I felt like I sort of failed on, meaning like education, stuff like that, with training from you. There'll be stuff coming. I think first what I want to do is I just want to build a city. I just kind of want to build a city that feels as organic as possible, if that makes sense. Like, I just want to kind of go through the build and stuff. So next video will be with full release, or we get one more video. Great question. I don't know that I can comment on that yet. Let me see if I don't know what I can say. Yeah, I can't say right now, Kieran. I think there will be an update though within, I think you'll know later this week maybe of sort of what the plan is. At minimum, you should expect it at release, obviously, but if there is an opportunity to do anything beforehand, I might try to. So I'm sorry, that's not a super easy question. This is the completion though of our sort of early access, like the agreement that I had, that many of us had. Like, it was a 3 video setup to show very like early process of building a city, and the goal is like basically to give folks a look at, the first couple of stages, for several stages. So yeah, City, I can't say anything, but I think you guys will know pretty soon, so just hang tight. I know, like, I don't know what I can say, so I don't want to say any more than I'm allowed. But yeah, obviously there's agreements and stuff like that in place that prevent me from saying a whole lot, but you guys are well aware that's just how it works right now, based on the last few weeks, But I am pretty stoked that we were able to put out at least a few early access videos as early as we did that go over everything that we accomplished. I feel like we accomplished quite a bit, honestly. We did a lot in those, especially this last video. We did a lot. Oh, you're welcome, Pan. Does anybody have any other big questions? The rocket is cool in the back. That's the Saturn V. Yeah, that's the Lego Saturn V. Which is pretty sweet. If you haven't already, guys, just be sure, like, whenever you get a chance, like the video that we just watched, leave a comment. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but any sort of engagement is helpful to get that video out there, so YouTube will like do YouTube's job. I'm gonna switch this screen. Let me turn that off real quick, and I'm just gonna kind of go through the video, and if you guys have questions about something, we can talk about it. Yeah, know how it works. This is pretty much what we've done the last couple. So, welcome back, everyone. I thought this was a cool angle because you can kind of see all the directions. Like, how do I explain it? You can see how far we've come. So the original downtown was like where these buildings are, these couple of buildings in there. That's the original downtown. And you see how much depth has been added. You can see how much residential has been added. I talked a little bit about the sprawl that you get in Cities 2 is a little different. It's a pretty significant spread. There's a lot of demand for low density residential, which I think is also probably a balancing tweak. So yeah, this is the original downtown, like right in here. You can see that Polaris Suites building we added in the first or second episode. I think it was second episode. And this is a street in a little bit of the congested area. Got a lot of activity. There's a lot of those streets too that, like, whenever I would zone more medium industry or something like that, dude, it would get packed up and congested. This is the airport that I placed later in today's video. You see plane lane, and that's convenient. And then there's nighttime if you guys missed it. Nighttime is actually really pretty. I don't they had to do some tweaks to it to get the lighting to look right, but you can see like looks pretty much how you expect. I don't know how much depth you have with the lighting, because in some shots you can see, like in the background, there's just some lights that you don't notice, like they're kind of fading as I back off. I don't know how far you can see the lights, but it's not too bad. Or it goes to maybe just a version of the lighting that's like less consistent for every window or something. So this first chunk of the episode, I spent a lot of time trying to fix the education system, and the reasoning was that, how do I explain? Basically, this is sticky. Basically, what happened is I didn't focus enough on it, and it was throwing off some of our demand, apparently, which is kind of wild. And it was essentially making it so that we didn't have a demand for some of the other areas of like residential and stuff, which was just an oops on my part. From what I've noticed, there's like not much of a high school demand as much as elementary and college get. I don't know why that is, or if it was just something particular in my city. So I don't know, again, if that's a balancing thing, but our high school never really gets stocked up. But what I thought was interesting is you can actually go incentivize people to go get a better education. So we did this whole kind of drastic shift in order to promote going to college, which in return was hopefully going to boost demand in different areas like offices and medium density residential and so on and so forth. So I really tried to like jumpstart our demand as best I could, which seemed to be effective by the end. I mean, we were getting a lot of demand, so that's good. Obviously we expand services by adding some more services, and we start breaking up districts. I think a lot of folks are going to want to play with the elevation steps in Cities 2, because sometimes the full seems pretty hefty. There were times where I was adjusting that a lot more than maybe one expected, just to try to get like the right heights and stuff like that. Not go down as deep as I had to go, but just bare minimum. We've also added this welfare office, which I forgot to do beforehand, but I don't know if I really needed it, but this apparently helps out the neighborhood a lot. So placing it like central is pretty awesome. I do need to learn more about like the filled roads where you have like concrete beneath them. That'll be on my like list of things to do when I start a new build. And I noticed, I talked about it some in the last two videos. I'm mixing a lot of our not densities, but zoning types. So if you have commercial and office, I was kind of like going back and forth. So I do like a couple commercial buildings and a couple office buildings, even if it was low density. And that actually continued into the downtown area, because I started doing multiple densities for just like one city block, because I thought that the diversity in the building selection was very helpful. Let's see. Let's scoot it forward a little bit. I just don't love the way I laid this out, but it's fine. The more the city grows, the more I'm like, oh, I should have tweaked this forever ago. So yeah, we start building out like a new neighborhood over here. I thought about making this a gated neighborhood, but it almost felt like a town within a town. So I figured I would just leave it for now and see kind of where the city grew, which it grew on that end more and made it more of a town within a town kind of thing. But, you know, that's our first skyscraper right there, which is kind of neat to see. So you get an idea of like the height difference between like medium density, mixed use, and high density. You just like the new UI with the trend arrows versus the numbers. You know, it's kind of odd because I thought that the numbers were pretty appropriate given how much information Cities 2 hands you. I don't know why that change was made. I mean, obviously, Darth, you can hover over it and you can still see the amount. I think it's a nice clean UI change, but I feel like there should be I don't know if there is one. I feel like there should be a toggle to switch that. Like if you're someone more just want to hang out and chill and you're not worried about all that, like that'd be cool if you could toggle it and just say, hey, I want the arrow, or I don't want the arrow. I want something more specific versus something less specific. Something along those lines would be great. Because sometimes like I want to know, you know what I mean? I want to know the specifics, but not too stressed about it normally. It was something that I didn't expect to see changed, but it's not really a complaint as much as like, oh, neat. I preferred the numbers. Yeah, I think the numbers were, again, there's no toggle for it, right, Q, that I know of. Like, I just thought that would have been something that would have been of like a toggleable UI adjustment thing, but it's not. Nope. That might be feedback I give, is just to allow us to toggle it. I just don't. Yeah, I don't really know why that was adjusted. It's funny too, because later in this video you're going to see that like with some of the other updates they've made, like my economy just goes haywire, and it's just like now you just have a red arrow pointing down. It's like in that moment, like, yeah, fine, we don't need it right now. It's all bad news. Population's dipping. It's okay. I did think in doing some of this, the road tools are a little bit finicky at times. Going from here to here, like, I want to be able to tell it to stay at a level, and I don't know if that's a snapping thing that maybe I didn't notice, but sometimes if you don't hit the up arrow, it'll try to lower to that terrain. And then sometimes if you hit the up arrow here, you'll get one thing and it'll be bumpy by the time you get here. So it's just a little bit of a learning curve there to get like smooth roads. I know plenty of people have given this feedback with regards to the arrows, Q, so I don't need to worry about it. You see our office demand is finally spiking up. How large are the maps? Pretty big, dude. Pretty big. I think I looked at it. Let me see if I can find it. I know I just looked at it. Am I really not gonna be able to find that now? Give us a skyline above what we had. And I think intermixing these buildings into this area are gonna look really nice. I think somewhere there you go. So you can see these are all purchasable tiles. You don't see the whole map, but you see a large portion of it, right? These are all purchasable. The tiles themselves feel smaller, and they may be smaller than in Cities 1. I sometimes get confused as to like the translation there. But the map itself is like closer to what, 81 tiles in Cities 1. So if you had the mod 81 tiles, like you're closer to that in base game Cities 2. So there's a pretty big difference. I mean, that, like, you can see how much we have here, which is not crazy big, but it is taking up a good amount of room. And tiles. They're a little small on 81 tiles in CS, but Co said this is moddable. Got you. So yeah, I think with mods, there's going to be a pretty big expansion, but I don't think anybody's going to be super disappointed in the map size right off the bat. Unless you're someone that has play mod in the background, so. I do think, Sweaty, welcome in. I do think there are some, there are some instances where it does seem more intuitive. It just seems like as a whole, the traffic and how it operates, like I've said this a lot in the last couple videos, like it feels very much like there's a lot of decisions being made in the background of Cities 2, and like I'm not usually not watching it to see like, is this car gonna avoid this situation? There are some instances of traffic, but it does feel like cars are like aren't stacking in the same way they did in Cities 1. So, you know, you'd have like a traffic issue in Cities 1 and cars would just keep dumping into that traffic issue. I haven't had as much of that in Cities 2, but I don't have a crazy population. I mean, 40K, I think close to 40K by the end of the video. Right now it's only, you know, it's sub 12K. And a lot of the traffic I would see would typically be around when I zoned. So I do think the traffic or the AI is doing a lot of calculation there to kind of make traffic, you know, operate vastly different, have different decision making. But I think a lot of folks are looking for like, oh, I want to be able to like fix traffic, and I haven't seen something, or I haven't seen in this city in particular a situation where there's like a significant traffic issue to fix, like that isn't just, oh man, I made this like too set in a way that like isn't going to promote great traffic flow, you know, because the way I set up the city initially, like later I add interchanges, and the way I set up the city initially, like with the interchange, like, oh yeah, you're going to have traffic problems here. And I knew that from the get-go. I was just waiting to expand to like allow more interchanges and stuff like that. So traffic does stack off our one interchange towards the beginning, but we later sort of fixed that. I do wish though that more cars would park somewhere and not on the road. I wish that, like, I feel like there's so many cars on the road, and I guess that's natural, but damn, it just feels like a lot of dudes, a lot of folks parking on the road. Every street just loaded with cars. So we've got large sports parks is something unlocked. I'm kind of bummed that we don't get stadiums. Like, I want some Bad Peanut stadiums. He made those for the content creator pack for towards the end of CS1's like updates. I want like a football stadium and a baseball stadium and stuff like that. So I hope that's something that comes soon. I did notice I made a call out of the brown water. That is off-season water, so it actually will be blue in the summer. It's kind of funny. That's a neat little detail that I wasn't expecting. I thought something was wrong. Thought I had sewage water there. Some sort of water pollution caused it, but here we are.
So here we are. This is what full-on winter looks like. We're currently in February, and as you can see, it's -1°C.
So snow, I missed when the snow accumulated. It happened pretty quickly though, because we're in 3-speed. It does look a little bit Arctic. I will say that much. Like it looks pretty intense. I think there's been an update in terms of how snow operates as well, like how it accumulates. So this is actually, I think, a little bit out of date, because it's not accumulating in all the spots I'd expect it to like stack up. So I wouldn't take this too seriously. Having to add more schools, like the demand for schools was getting kind of intense again, because I think I focus so much on like incentivizing schools. The only thing we didn't get a lot of, like I said earlier, is high school folks. I don't know why. And don't know if that's a balancing thing. Update the game, their new graphics. What? What do you mean? It's kind of funny. Like it almost feels like trees are just buried in the snow. There you go. Snow's leaving now. That's winter. That's February, which I assume, you know, by March you're sort of in the spring months. There is some like interesting color decisions in terms of like every season having a color profile. Because it's going to change obviously for summer. You have some dreary months for winter. Nothing wild there, unexpected at least. Yeah, mine's up to date. Flops. Mine's up to date. But this recording, like 70, no, more than that, 90% of this recording was done prior to that update. Which is probably one of my favorite zoning types in Cities 2. So you're not even seeing a lot of that in this video because that update came like a couple days ago.
high-density residential and some of the medium-density residential.
No, I'm not playing right now. No. We're watching my video I already made. I can't actually stream it, so we just watch. Yeah, dude. Yeah, see, I can pause myself. Yeah, I'd be curious to know where they heard about it too. Thank you.
And for the most part, I've seen that blend really well in downtown areas. It looks dense and pretty lively. So I think high density commercial will create some really cool downtown spaces. This is a huge benefit.
It's probably Q. It's probably one of those videos.
Because you do have opportunities to really
would be my expectation.
Downtowns with a variety of buildings and zoning types you can use.
So this is me sort of intermixing some of the some of the densities. What I noticed is you don't want a lot of high density next to each other because the buildings just feel really close to one another. If you start spreading them out, it kind of makes a much better skyline. And this is something, you know, this is not like groundbreaking. I feel like this was pretty evident to do in stuff like Cities 1 and, you know, whatever, but tweaking that a bit to accommodate more of a skyline than multiple buildings like across the street from one another next to each other.
And I think this is where some of the high rent notifications come in. But we'll take a look at that.
A new signature building. This building feels like has a really big roof. I put it on the end here, and I would probably go back if I did it again and hide it somewhere, just because the roof feels massive. It's just like a huge roof. I don't know if that's more of a, I don't know if that's even a European style building. I don't know what that is. Look at that roof, dude. Roof is massive. Here, I actually really like these buildings. This is high density commercial, which looks really good. You get some like neon signs on them and stuff like that. Lots of billboards on them. Not as distracting as in Cities 1 though, in my opinion. But intermixing that with like medium density residential, to some degree I wish we had medium density commercial, just to continue to intermix different stuff in there.
So you can see demand is leveled out. We've hit some milestones, so let's spend some development points because we have a pretty decent income. I think we can afford a couple of buildings in the long run.
Oh, I'll have to check. I mean, I know because I have access to it. Like I'm aware, but I didn't have, my video was already like almost done by the time that happened. Let's see, what do we got?
Operate within.
New radio tower. You got to keep up with some of the services and things like that.
In a certain area, radio mass, for example, may only,
because they'll actually start to complain that they don't have great internet. The Sims, that is.
Because Cities 2 and how
this is all like a lot of revamping and tweaking to what I already had. This power plant is massive. Like, look at this compared to the old power plant that I put down. Look at that compared to that.
Produce about 20 or 25 megawatts, I think.
Like, the scale of this is huge. That makes me wonder how big the nuclear and some of those like more advanced power plants are, because they've got to be significant in size.
That way we can reduce spending a little bit and not have,
because that like that is a chunky building.
And then it makes sense because we're going to be producing plenty of power with just the one power plant. This is just another example of your city sort of growing and evolving, right? In Cities 1, I often felt a lot of redundancy in terms of some of these buildings. You'd have to incorporate more to keep up with demand of power.
So
you could do the upgrades, but something about Cities 2.
I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the old power plants because we don't really need them. Now that we have the bigger power plant, the gas power plant, instead, so we replace from the coal. It sucks too. The internet getting better than ours IRL. Yeah. Well, I put a server farm in that has like 10 gigs, something. I don't know. It'll be funny like looking back at this game in like 10 years and realizing, wow, that server farm really wasn't as high tech as they thought it was then.
Pressure off the landfill. And while we're working on this part of town, let's go ahead and take a look at forestry. We haven't done a ton of specialized industries. At the end of the last episode, I added a couple of different things.
Let me see.
Just north of this area that we're looking at now in terms of like farms, livestock.
Through a chunk of this like whole recording, we did have a lot of issues with trash. I ended up having to kind of tweak the trash situation a few times to keep up with demand as we expand the city. This is actually forestry, guys. If you haven't seen that yet, you'll see trucks driving through here, but I was happy to see that it didn't change like the texture like it does like the farm. Like it wasn't something so significant that it was like super distracting, which was nice. I wanted something more subtle for that, and it, you know, success there.
Has to be imported or pulled from these specialized industries. as we zoom out, you can see that it's also going to do a little bit of an aesthetic change. You're going to have a little bit of a texture on the ground, much like the other specialized industries. For forestry, it just seems to be a little bit of a brown texture.
And then we add oil, because oil, like there's some oil pockets or whatever near the power station we just put in, which was kind of convenient. This actually did change texture. I'm gonna have to figure out how to utilize that to like an advantage, because I'm like someone that loved having the option of like, you know, surface painter and different textures to lean on and stuff like that. But I am curious to see how I can better implement these base game textures, at least until there's some sort of mod available to change it.
I would prefer that have a little bit more control for us to lean on. You're going to get some,
but I still do wish that I could control the buildings within there. You see, like that's kind of just a blotchy blob. I mean, like, I don't know. I hope that there's more that we can do with that later, though.
You may want to factor that in when placing them. Now, one thing I will say about the forestry side of stuff is that the forestry and the way it blends in with the forest that's already there is kind of nice. Like you could plant a bunch of trees there.
And you can see now that there's trucks driving in here. Right there, there's a logging truck. So I like that they use like what's on the map. You're not planting like a bunch of trees, or like a ploppable thing with trees stacked in them, like in Cities 1. Now you had that little rectangle just full of trees, which I think that's probably one of the best service industry changes I think I've seen.
Now, one issue I've seen is that the high schools aren't really getting populated, whereas elementary schools.
I still do wish there was like campus DLC stuff, man. I wish that we were able to make like full-on campuses, kind of like we had in Cities 1. And I've said a lot that this is not like a continuation, but some part of me just wishes that like we had that incorporated somehow. Because this like that's just like a lot of park space. Granted, you can expand the building and there's a couple modular aspects to it, but I still feel like you kind of have to artificially make a campus, which is not something I expected to do at this point. Like I guess I was looking forward to seeing more of like some of the DLCs integrated into Cities 2, like Cities 1 DLCs sort of integrated. But I also get that they are probably going to redo those because of what all the capability exists within Cities 2. High density offices. I'm going to intermix those into our downtown, so you're going to see some towers popping up. Hi, Nat. How are you? We're going to replace some of our old offices and some of the buildings we have in here with some high density offices. Give us some different towers that are going to crop up. And you can start to see like they have their own vibe. They have their own feel.
I want to continue to expand our downtown. I want it to take up not only the island we've placed in between where I see our city growing, but I also want to go over to the next coastline.
Okay.
In fact, I feel like this is where I should have probably expanded some of the city elements earlier in our other videos, but for now,
how are you, Natalie?
Continue to grow the city, and I want to see what this starts to develop and look like later in game.
Lots of terraforming in this episode because we just have these hills forever. For days, we have hills.
The game releases. I really want to the game release. There are some modular aspects to this building.
Let's get all these. I'm so I had the YouTube videos on my phone holder. Oh gosh, Natalie. No, thank you for watching, friend. Even if you had stuff going on, I appreciate it.
This building is massive, which we've talked about a lot. The scaling feels much better.
I love how big this building is. I love that it like looks so significant compared to what we had in Cities 1. That's just like consistent all across this game though. There's like a lot more buildings that take up a lot more room that feel more official for what they're supposed to be.
Cutout is in the building shape. I can actually make adjustments to the terrain utilizing the terrain tools.
Guys, I've been like busting booty to get some videos done for when I'm gone next week. I just got I got a squad video ready for this week, basically last week. I've got another squad video that I've got to finish, Thanks for calming Moose down and talking him down from reading. I don't know that I really did anything. I probably just kind of jokingly was like, that's crazy. Because it was like yesterday. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I said something to him, but I don't remember if it was anything significant. I think he kind of talked himself down a little bit. Yeah, I just somebody asked me about redoing it, and I'm like, dude, there's no way. I made a 50-minute video. I had all that recording and all the VO done by the time the update was. I was like, there's not happening. He said you helped. I'll take it. I don't think I did much, but you know what I mean. I don't feel like I made that big of an impact, but if he says so, he may have just asked me if I was redoing mine, and I'm like, no, I can't. Like, there's just no way. I don't think anything was that sizable. So to like, there's textures and stuff like that. Sure, there was definitely some changes, but I don't think anything was significant enough that you guys are gonna notice like a huge drop off in what I was able to show. You know, if I had re-recorded it. I don't think there was enough to stress about it that late in the game either. It's like one of those things, man. If it's not in there like a week in advance, like it may not make the video unless I'm just like, that was what happened with Squad. Squad put out an update on Wednesday, and I didn't have time to update the video. I didn't have time to do a whole new video from scratch. They did an update on Wednesday. I ended up having to postpone the video a week. Nah, no, I'm trying to get some other stuff done, Natalie, so I don't want to like bog myself down anymore. I've been so tired this week. So, yes, exactly. I've been worn out. I need to like rest my brain a little bit. That's probably going to be more of next week, is just going to be me doing travels and vibing versus creating videos. But I am trying to get some coverage for when I'm gone. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
One area of help we probably need is to actually set up some more interchanges tied to the highways to filter in traffic into different parts of the city. As the city is
I did post a posted. I did post a short like preview of the video on Twitter. There will be one on
residential and near the harbors. Now we've talked a lot about how the roads give you a preview of what you're doing, how they feel intuitive.
There'll be a short coming out on YouTube as well, just some of the cinematics. There was a lot with the interchanges that I still have to figure out how to integrate these better. But this helped reduce some of the traffic issues I was having just by having these added. There's something like really intuitive and nice about how the road tools work, but there's also something that just feels complicated. I can't figure out what it is. Not complicated. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. There's just like I don't know how to explain it. It feels like there's almost just like a couple extra like clicks I have to make or something like that, you know, that makes it a little bit more precise, but just a little bit more to like tailor to whatever you're trying to do. Not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, just a thing, just another thing.
I think I've mentioned this before. There are some notifications that are popping up for high rent in certain areas, especially low density residential, and I think that may be a balancing issue. Because it seems to be
like again, they feel like the intuitiveness, like the preview of what's happening and stuff like that is super helpful. I realized in this episode more so that, you know, the cursor and where the cursor is placed is so significant because it's going to adjust the road depending on what side of the road the cursor's on. That'll say, oh, this is where we're going to put this lane, or, you know, have the merge area or whatever. But damn, dude, it's just like it's almost like a lot, like, but it's very simple to some degree to understand or to see, but it's a very different tool than in Cities 1 in terms of road design and stuff like that. Because I realize, like, the more I start building in the city, the more I'm like, man, I really don't like how I laid any of this out. Like, I feel to a degree like I'm gonna have to maybe not totally, but change drastically how I build, at least at the initial points of Cities 2, to accommodate how I feel like I'm building in Cities 2.
We've sort of balanced our budget and we are making money, which is fantastic. And that was something I was a little bit worried about as I progressed through, because there were some instances where I couldn't really put down all the buildings I wanted, given the situation of like recording and trying to follow the more organic path of building a city. So I had to be a little bit careful, but now we have some money to play with and we are gaining cash. So
I don't know if you felt like that, Q, but I do think I'm just gonna have to make some adjustments. Maybe it's because I always played modded in Cities 1, so I just kind of knew what I needed to do to get by, but I do feel like I need to be a little more proficient in road design. Which I don't know if that's going to be good for me. That could be problematic. Something I talked a lot about too, guys, is that I wish that you still could like create a district for parks. Because I put this like little natural park over here in this corner, and then I just realized like no one's going to use it because there's no incentive, like there's no value to it. And I hope that that is something that we get back to be able to customize, make our own parks and stuff. Because right now I feel like that's going to end up just kind of sitting there. Like, I mean, it looks cool, but hey, Jake, how are you? Like, it looks nice, but I don't think it's really going to function the way I want. Like, I wanted a little walking park down to the water, and then the more I did of it, I'm like, I don't know if this is really going to get used. I'm not sure I like the pedestrian paths. I like that they're very narrow. I like that they feel more like sidewalks, but I don't know that I like how they attach to things and stuff. That's primarily my issue with them, because they feel like a little bit odd in terms of their attachment to like roads and stuff. Like, you have to be kind of careful because they'll just sort of auto attach. I was trying to do something in like a really small area, and it just was more finicky than I expected it to be. Because it puts like the connection point up for you. You can't just draw that and attach it, and it could be angled, and you can't really fix that attachment point. I don't know.
It may just take some getting used to figure out how to work out those connection points to roads and other things. Speaking of other things, I do wish that we could connect these paths to some of the ploppable buildings that we have.
I think what I should have done here is like tiered this or something like that, and had a little bit more done there to like
Now I'm setting this up as sort of a little nature park that you
kind of accommodate the space better, or how the pathing works. I don't know.
Whatever they prefer. So I'm going to do some organic lines off of the road. We'll also add a pedestrian bridge nearby.
See something, guys? One sec.
Good look at how some of the pedestrian bridges operate. Doing this also makes me miss being able to paint an area for a park. I'll have to keep an eye on this.
This is zoom past because this is just me making organic park here. I miss, dude. I miss Force Brush, dude. I really thought when I saw this, I thought it was going to be basically Force Brush integrated. I don't know. I feel like it's like something I would be like, yo, can we just select multiple trees?
Placing individual trees and bushes can be fine in certain
Can we just, that's all that needs to happen. Can we select multiple things and then boom? Baby trees. Little baby trees that have to grow. I do like the pedestrian bridges though. I like that we have options. I like that you can blend those options together if you want.
For the pedestrian bridges, including a covered pedestrian bridge. These were often underutilized.
I like that they're more narrow.
So I'm excited to be able to incorporate these.
Not all of them have to feel like some really, really fancy production.
So you can actually intermix these if you would like. If you want a covered walkway up to the bridge and then you want to piece something else in, you can do that. I think there's a couple things that I also like about the pedestrian paths, and that is that they're more narrow in this versus cities.
We have a bus station, and much like the airport that I talk about later, like you can use each lane of the bus station and set your, you know, your routes up via each lane. That's all pretty intuitive and nice. I feel like you can understand capacity better for some of these services that way, because then you'll be able to, you like see more actively where buses are going, what buses are doing. I do love this bridge, although I feel like the overlap aspect of that is a little bit sensitive. Like, it's telling me you're overlapping. It's like, well, yeah, I know. You're a bridge. That's the point. That's what I need you to do.
To be available at the forefront, and we're sort of leaving a massive library behind, but I do think that
you see pedestrian paths will automatically add that crosswalk, so you got to be careful how many times you want to break, kind of break up your roads. You're able to do it without the crosswalk. You just have to like, there's a way to like kind of merge these things together to, yeah, like to soften that. I don't know how to explain it, to get it so that it doesn't put a crosswalk. I don't know if it's like a very specific science or something. I'm not really sure. There's a way to avoid some of it.
Sort of where things go, because right now I don't feel like the city is very well laid out. I don't really like the way I've set it up and how I've kind of terraformed it, and I think that for the most part I've been able to make it work with what I'm setting up, but I also feel like there's a big opportunity to have all the game knowledge I have now versus when I first started the series, and really
yeah, this is me talking a lot about how I want to start a new city with a lot that I've learned. And again, detailing is like, you can detail, you can do things with vegetation, but as of right now, I don't think you can pull props. There's no way, there's no like, obviously there's no find it mod, but I want to be able to put like some of the props that exist in game, because I know there are some props. It's gotta be, right? Tex, how are you? Good to see you. But something about detailing just feels a little bit slower in this. And maybe it's just the speed at which you can grow your city, but something about this just feels like a little bit more time consuming than it used to. There's no prop line tool, which again is another mod along with like integrating forest brush that I thought we would have seen. integrated at a base game level.
Now I think we've done some pretty good work at making some progress and growing the city at a pretty rapid rate. Now we're going to hit our big city milestone, which is going to unlock more development points, expansion points, and some more cash put into our economy. It's also going to extend our loan limit, but we haven't really needed that. Now there's no real additional unlocks for the big city milestone. I think we've pretty much unlocked everything besides just adding more.
So at this point at big city, we've unlocked basically everything your city's going to require, right? The only thing that you continue to get are like development points, expansion points, higher loan limit, and some cash influxes, which you kind of need to rely on at some point to keep up with maybe some of the bigger services you might want to add. We're going to go ahead and add, like, this last part. Basically, I just focused on trying to get some of these signature buildings in to see what all they did and what all they offered. Not really paying much attention to my budget, although I have 9 million now. I think I kind of go through a lot of that as I keep throwing these buildings down.
To fill up this side of the town, it'll look a little bit better and not so isolated.
And then what I didn't expect is there to be like some sort of update to the game that was actually going to cause like a financial problem. We get the fire station in, server farm. And again, the modular aspect of the game is lovely because you can just sit there and expand capability, efficiencies, and things. I actually really did like how this turned out. So we put the technical university back here, which is a pretty big building within itself. I mean, that's like a large campus area. I just wish there were more buildings as a part of that, not just one central building. And obviously, there's modular aspects that you can add to that campus. But you can see, like, for the university itself, I can throw in a library, so that's a separate building. And obviously, I have a college here that kind of looks like the same architecture, so you could argue that that's part of the campus. And then you can do the pathing to make it look like you have quads and stuff like that in the back here and connect everything. But I just miss having like a building for, you know, dorms, or a building for, you know, whatever else we could potentially throw in there. I don't know that, you know, we necessarily need every building that we had within the from the standpoint of like the campus DLC. I feel like some of the maintenance buildings, you know, maybe not super necessary or whatever, but I do wish we had a few more to bolster this like density of the campus. Right now, though, I could see myself basically using elementary, college, and university buildings, and maybe even high school buildings, to make a college campus. That might be the strat for me.
I'm going to make this area just into a little bit of a quad, so we're going to do some very geometric shapes.
I don't know if that's like lying, if you say it's like a, hey, I'm going to make a campus here, but it's got an elementary school on it.
The technical university, which looks drastically different, but I do feel like because we've added some of these quads and things like that, it helps blend it in a little bit. The city.
This was a industrial signature building, so some of these industry buildings are like factories. The med school just is massive, but this pharma building came down as soon as I placed the med school. You get this. This is another business. This is an industrial signature building that's going to add efficiencies and some other things to your city. I think it's cool that these buildings have like a purpose. So you can see it adds industrial efficiency, interest in university education, and university graduation chance increased. So that's cool that these all have the purpose. I also noticed this building was open to be rented out by a company. It doesn't come as a company, which again is a kind of an interesting layer added to the simulation side of the game. And you can see there's more factories and stuff that you can add as you expand your industry area, like oil refineries and stuff like that. So I have a feeling as you continue to expand your industry, you'll unlock these. I think these are all based on like how much industry or something like that you've zoned, or how many specialized industry areas you have, or how many buildings are popping up within those spaces, that sort of thing.
Downtown area. We're going to build it close to some infrastructure that's already in place, just to take a look at it and see how it operates. Now, I realize there's also the international airport, which is something we could place later or upgrade to eventually. I know that is a much larger building, though. But for now, I think this will do. We're also going to do some basic infrastructure to the airport. Nothing fancy, and we'll add some parking and stuff to kind of make this feel a little bit more like it fits the part. Much like the other transportation services we've added, you do have to set up lines for passenger planes to land, and those can be specific to...
This was super intuitive and easy. I love how you can set it up to each terminal. That was nice. Very simple to do. It's very clear what's happening. The planes look pretty good. I didn't check all the routes, like how they flew in, how they left. You can see there's multiple planes, types of plane. That was a smaller one, I think, that had already landed. Got another one landing. Got a few flying in. I'll be curious to see if we have any wild planes. the economy in this is pretty dense. Like you have your production levels, you have all the things that you're making, your surplus, your deficits. So you can try to balance this. You see, we're doing a lot of whatever these things are. I don't even remember. Oh, we were a media town. I don't know how we got to being media, but that was like one thing we were generating. I don't know what we were generating, but we were exporting a lot of like media or something. We're also exporting a lot of software. So we're very, you know, we're a fancy little Silicon Valley, Hollywood, I guess, or something. I think I ended up having to take out the hospital for some of my cinematics because of how much money we were losing. It doubled like our hospital debt or something like that for services. Our deficit. Yeah, media. You can see all the adjustments you can make. You can get really specific here if you need specific things or you want to bolster, you know, maybe a specific industry, which I think is interesting. This is post the update that kind of made some changes to the balancing of the economy.
They have the capability of really creating multiple towns or cities that rely on each other for a lot of these goods, which is kind of neat, especially considering how large the map.
And you can always you can actually go negative in some of the tax brackets, I believe, and actually make subsidies for companies. So if you really want to incentivize somebody to come and do something, like I guess you could do that with education, right? If you want really highly educated people, you could actually go negative in there. So you're essentially paying that person to go get a high education. We didn't really do that. We just lowered the taxes, which seemed to be effective enough for us. And then I kind of go into my overall thoughts on where we're at with Cities 2. And I'm excited to build something new because I think that'll give me like a little bit more perspective. A lot of this early access stuff has been building a city. Just what does it feel like? What does it work like? And I've been really focused on trying to give you guys the best, you know, the best that I can without having played a lot. Look at what it's like to start a city. But I am very interested to see kind of what starting a new one with all the information I have now is going to be like, because I definitely started the first one without a whole lot of knowledge. Or started this one without a whole lot of knowledge. So I'm very, very kind of interested to play and have like a fresh landscape to go and mess around on, because I do think there's a lot that I'm going to be able to take away from this and apply to something new, which I think you guys will see. I think I'm going to like probably start a new city build for the release and just kind of just do something different. I don't know what it's going to be. I got to pick a map and see where we go. I probably need to start that soon though, since I'm going out of town. By the way, guys, if you are new and you have not, be sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like on this video or the early access video itself. And yeah, man, I think that pretty much wraps it up for us, because a lot of this is just me kind of like zoning out some more stuff and growing this little area, or prepping it. And you can see the exiting cinematics here. You get to see another little bit of nighttime, which is lovely. That's the harbor functioning. We kind of looked at that. You have the passenger ships coming in, which look like big yachts. Trees are all growing up.
I'll try to answer what I can if it is a question. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching and take care.
Oh yeah, that's pretty. That's a nice nighttime. I think they're still trying to figure out stars. Is my guess. They look a little splotchy, but yeah, harbor looks nice. Yeah, I got to figure out how to integrate it better with the city, because it was definitely thrown in there, Nat. I could have had it upriver. I could have actually made a shipping lane to run upriver, but I was like, we were too far. we had already done so much. Yeah, guys, thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, you can throw them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. But I just wanted to do a quick recap of the video and share some additional thoughts. There'll be more info coming out probably later this week as to what to expect from me leading into the launch and after the release and all that jazz. So yeah, plenty more to do, plenty more to dive into and explore. There's definitely some late game stuff. We haven't touched on some of the buildings and some of the, things. Obviously, there's some balancing the economy and all that jazz. So, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the series. We've done 3 YouTube live streams. We've posted 3 YouTube videos that have done fairly well. So, yeah, be sure to check out the main video if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more stuff. Take care. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much. Have a great day.